Monday for the Saturday. And inshallah, we should be continuing with the presentation started already yesterday with Dr. Abdullah Shaib. Let me use the opportunity to welcome our August guest, Dr. Hamza Lumogo from Uganda, part of the Mobile CEO, and of course, Hamid Rashid, Minister Technology Malaysia, and other brother, all the activity who will say about the yesterday, Muhammad Sibja, and of course, everyone here. So that was I would like to comment on what motivation. After which, then Rashid Mohammed will present his own, because he will be attending himself, while there will be for more lecture. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Alhamdulillah, الذي بنعمته تتم الصالحات. Page 29. والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I hope by now we have taken our breakfast and that we have a very limited time this morning. So I'm going to compress the remaining slides in my presentation so that brother Hamid Rashid can have quality time, to address us, because we are also, some of us will leave by around after 11 to meet with His Eminence the Sultan before his departure. Yesterday, I stopped at this juncture here where we are transit Islamic social finance framework. So we are talking of how do we integrate the ISF into the National Development Initiative. So government development agenda is at the peak. Like we all know, we are living in the Federal Republic of Nigeria and not the Islamic Federal Republic of Nigeria. But we hope and pray that if not in our own generation, maybe generation that will come after us, after them, we will get to that point where we will say Islamic Republic of Nigeria. Inshallah. Yes. So government is at the peak, the overall of all initiatives. So the national development priorities, this is where we want to key in the Islamic social finance tools. And then these Islamic social finance tools, like we mentioned yesterday, I mentioned about 10 of them. I want to just recall, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to rush in doing presentation. I believe in quality. Even if the time is not there, the quality one that we're able to pin down will be much beneficial than for me to just rush and then we'll say we have concluded it. Yesterday, the chairman was gracious to say that they should share the slides with all of us. I want to first ask, have you received the share slides? Have you received the slides yesterday? Only one person is saying yes. So you have received it. This angle is the one repeatedly saying yes, yes. From this side, you have shared it. You have received it. Alhamdulillah. Your confirmation is what is going to make me to now ask you this question. Because if you say you have not received it, I will just jump the question. Yesterday, we mentioned 10 Islamic social finance components. 10. I will just be asking you, not in any particular order. Can you mention just one of them? Component of Islamic social finance, just mention one. Current challenge. Current challenge. He said? Current challenge. Mention one. He said no. which is the answer is giving us. One of the components is no. Okay. Can you mention one of the component of Islamic social finance? Wakaf. Yes. Zakat. Yes. Qard Hassan. Yes. Huh? Which one be agriculture? Better. Are you a farmer? Can you mention any one of them? That Qard Hassan. Now? Okay. 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 MashaAllah. This man is in Indonesia now. He's in Indonesia. Now, they are not 4. 10. I mentioned 10. Can you go back to the slide? Go back, slide. Go back, go back, go back. Slide. Go back, go back, go back. Continue to go back. When I say stop, you stop. Continue to go back. Go back, go back. Yeah, stop. No. Go forward. Go forward. Yes, stop. These are the components of Islamic social finance. So let this thing sink in our brain. Pin it down, pin it. So that even when they wake you up, we can tell them this zakat, waqfu, social suku, Qard Hassan, Nazar, Fidya, Kafara, microfinance, and so on. They are there. In fact, we can even extend beyond this. There are some of them that we did not put here. All right? But at least know this is very, very important. It is in your slides, which has been shared with you. So can you just go forward, fast forward again, quickly. Go. Go. Okay, stop here. Go back. Go back. Yeah, this is the framework. This is the integrated Islamic social finance framework. I've explained this already. You know, I just mentioned zakat and the waqf, and then other ISF instruments. So with out of 10, we mentioned 2 here, and then others. So those others are the ones we've just mentioned a while ago. And then the last, ladder there is when you integrate the Islamic social finance component, what we intend to benefit the outcome will be an inclusive growth and sustainable development. Sustainable development, inclusive growth and sustainable development. Now, the second slide, the key message from this is that integration is about aligning institutions, resources, and policies toward shared national development outcomes while preserving the distinct objectives and governance requirements of each Islamic social finance instrument. The integration we are talking about is to align the institutions, Islamic social finance institutions, and the resources, the zakat, the waqf, the Qard Hassan, and their lives, and policies towards national development outcomes. Next slide, please. Now, aligning the Islamic social finance with national development plans. Why alignment matters. Why the need for us to align. The reasons for this is that development impact increases when Islamic social finance initiatives, right, support national and state priorities. What are we saying here? There are priority areas, just like I mentioned yesterday to us, that when you look at the Constitution of Nigeria, I think the second paragraph tells us that the major responsibility of government is to provide what? security, and what? Welfare. That is the primary responsibility of government, to provide security and welfare. So, and then when government intends to do this, what do they want to solve? These are the priorities areas. Poverty. You want to reduce poverty. Now, as zakat and workful operators, I mentioned also yesterday that we should not just be concerned about charitable giving, but what should concern us should be sustainable development and impact. Should be the one that will concern us. And then, how do you know that you're achieving this? We also talked about the need for you to have a program, well-planned program. Then you must also have your KPIs, key performance indicators. When you have your key performance indicators, you must also have your metrics or the measurements, right? Let me give you an example. One of the programs as an organization you may want to, design, you call it poverty. You make that as your KPI. Okay, what is your metrics? I mentioned yesterday that Inna Allah ala kulli shay'in qadir, which means Allah has power over all things, but Allah will not do all things. Allah has power over all things, but Allah will not do all things. Why? Because that is the sunnah of Allah. If Allah, does all things for us, then the question is, what is the need for ibadah? Then what is the need for reward and punishment when everything is already done? لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ فِيمَا آتَاكُمْ. Allah says, I have not done all this because the little I have given you, I have given that لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ, so that you can be tested فِيمَا آتَاكُمْ, in what He has given you, whether you are rich or you are a poor person. So which also means we as an organization, we want to reduce poverty. We must also have, metrics. How many number of people do you want to reduce? You want to take out of poverty? Not everybody, because you can't do that, because Allah Himself, who has power over all things, has not done that for us. If you go into Surah Al-Qasas, you know that ayah where Allah says, let me remember the verse. نحن قسمنا بينكم معيشة في الحياة الدنيا ورفعنا بعضكم بعض. I don't want to misquote that ayah. Where the context of this verse is that Allah is telling us that He has already divided and shared your means of resources among yourselves. Some among you, He has placed them above others, so that some who are under will work for those who are above to kind of share the resources. So you who want to support the poor people, you cannot solve all the problem of the poor people. What you do is set for yourself a KPI, then set for yourself the metrics. How many number of people do you want to bring out of poverty? Then, what is the ratio of the women compared to the men? Right? And then, what is the duration from what time or what period to another period you want to solve their problem? Because at the end of the day, when you deploy the resources, the zakat, the Qur'an and Hasana, the wakaf, and their likes, we want to look at the expected outcomes. By the time you do your review, you can then be able to ask yourself whether you have achieved the goal you set for yourself or otherwise. So when we align Islamic social finance, the policies area we want to look at includes poverty, food security, universal education, primary health care, youth employment, women's empowerment, affordable housing, climate resilience, social protection. Now, let me ask this question. Of all these priority areas, assume that you are representing different institutions. Which one will you choose as number one priority among all these problems? Now, universal education. Yes, food security. Now, security. Okay. You see, your response is going to be based on the need assessment you have carried out in that community. It is only politicians. I'm not trying to abuse them or bring them down. It's only politicians that will come to your neighborhood and tell you, vote for me. When you vote for me, I will do road for you. I will bring you water. I will bring you this without doing any need assessments. That is politicians. But you working in the Islamic social finance space, don't behave like politicians. You do your need assessment first of the people. So if it is education of the children that is ranked number one, then it means your intervention should focus on education. But if it is food security that is ranking as number one, then it means food security should be your first priority in your scale. Don't forget also, I mentioned the case of where we went to do borehole water for the people. Because of lack of experience at that time, we were very happy and passionate to do water for them. But if we had done a thorough need assessment of the people, we would have gotten an hint that when you do water, make sure you also do this, because you have solved one problem and you have created another problem. And the problem you created, they cannot compromise it. They cannot compromise it. So it's the same thing. So these are priority areas, but we must also rank them based on the need assessment we will have carried out for us to be able to know what is the priority of the people. At times, as zakat operators, when people want to collect zakat comes to us, they come with multiple problems. They come with multiple problems. You may have it in your mind that you only want to solve one problem. But when they start talking to you, you will discover that they have multiple problems. For example, somebody will tell you he's hungry. He doesn't have food to give to his children and for himself, blah, 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 blah. At the same time, as he's talking, he will tell you, in fact, we don't even have a house where we are staying. We are just managing in one lungu, in one corner area. He has brought out two problems for you. Before you know it again, we say, all my children cannot go to school because their colleagues, their mates are going to school because we don't have money to buy food. He's not asking you to come and solve education problem or accommodation. He came for food problem. But by the time you are having the conversation, you will discover that the person has multiple problems. So when we are prioritizing the areas, they are interwoven. They are interwoven. Just like Professor Irfan said yesterday, somebody wants to do, I have equally experienced it over the years when, while working. Somebody comes, he says he needs economic empowerment. I know this, business is the one I'm doing, but if I get money, it will make it much more better. If you as zakat workers, you don't do your own work very, very well, you give the person money for economic empowerment. When she leaves or when he leaves, the first thing he will do is to go to the market. To go and do what? To go and do what in the market? To go and buy food that they will eat. He has already started destroying the capital for the business, not even the profit. The moment you take anything away from the capital, you have taken away the profit already. You buy food, you get home. That night, the family will be very, very happy. Maybe for a very long time, they have not eaten chicken. For that night, they will eat chicken. It will be like paradise and Jannah. And children, in their ways, they love food. They will ask, Baba, are we going to repeat this tomorrow morning again? And you tell them, inshallah, because the money is there. But that money is not meant for consumption. It's meant for what? for business, but the person has already started eating into the capital, not to even talk of the profits. That is why people like that we have helped in the past, after 3 months, we see them, they are worse off. They are back to square one. Why? Because they have destroyed the capital even before the business started. So at times, somebody will come with a one problem. You, as the Zakat operators, should look beyond that, because the person is only concerned about that fund that you are going to give them. But you are more concerned about sustainability of your intervention. It's the same thing with Islamic Bank. You go to Islamic Bank to access finance resources. They are more concerned about the sustainability of your business than you starting the business. Because when your business flourishes, money will come back to the bank. So that's the way we look at it. And then the practical approach to this is that every Zakat and Waqf institution should prepare a program, the annual program, that demonstrates how planned interventions will contribute to both the state and then the national development priorities. Alhamdulillah, in Nigeria today, the work that has been done by Azawan, the Association of Zakat and Waqf Operators in Nigeria, has yielded positive responses from government quarters, be it state or national. We've had in the recent times, a capacity building section where it was facilitated by UNESCO, with Azawa members. And what did we discuss? We were discussing about the national social protection and inclusion priorities of the government, and how Zakat and Waqf can also support align, with this. So it has been recognized as a very potential resources, which we are here to unlock for the betterment of the community. So the next slide, please, is going to be talking about the institutional architecture for integration. And when we are talking about institution, we are talking of a body, a structure, not an individuals. And here we have been able to identify key, actors here: the federal government, the state government, Zakat and Waqf boards, Islamic financial institutions. That is, we are talking of Islamic banks, talking of takaful operators. We are talking of fund managers in the capital market and their likes. And then we talk of so many Zakat and Waqf agencies or Zakat and Waqf commissions or boards. And then we also talk about the Emirates Zakat committees that we have. Then we now come down to the Islamic faith-based NGOs, organizations. Then I've also mentioned the universities. They are also, potential partners we can work with. Then research institutes. And then, of course, the traditional religious leaders. And then the civil societies. Not even faith-based. We are talking about the CSO, the conventional ones, and then development partners. At times, some will call them PDP. Not, People's Democratic Party. They will call them policy development partners. Policy development partners. So these are, key actors that we can work with when we want to integrate Islamic social finance, to the national development initiatives. And of course, the principle guiding this relationship is that each institution retains its mandate. You don't dislocate their mandate. For each one of them, they have their mandate, while contributing to a coordinated ecosystem. As Zakat organization, we have our mandate. But when we are integrating, the integration will not take away our mandate. We still retain our mandate, while at the same time we deploy the Islamic Social Finance instrument in achieving that. The next slide is talking about the role of government. Here we have different roles for different operators or actors. Let's look at the role of the government. What do we expect the government to undertake or do? One, government should create enabling policies, create policies that will enable the actors to be able to unlock the potentials that will bring public goods to everybody within that community. Government should also facilitate institutional collaboration. That is, Just like, the Sokoto state government is collaborating, right, with Islamic Development Bank to facilitate this capacity building training we are doing. Is a very good example. Government should also encourage transparency and good governance. Transparency here means communicate as at when due. Give people the genuine, authentic information. Don't send out information in the public space that may not be comprehensive, because whatever information you give, people will process it and then use it to take informed decision. But where information is not accurate and people take decisions, the outcome may not also be very, very palatable. And then, of course, government should also promote digital transformation, integrate Islamic social finance into broader social development strategies, and of course, also government should respect the autonomy and Sharia governance of Islamic social finance institutions. This is very, very key. I represented our chairman in a high-powered meeting, sometimes about 10 days ago, if I'm not mistaken, at the Aso Villa in Abuja. The meeting was chaired by the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. What was the meeting all about? The meeting is about halal economy. It's about how do we integrate halal economy into Nigerian national development plan, so that it can bring in money into Nigeria by creating an enabling environment for investors to come in with their foreign direct investment into Nigeria, and so that it will create more jobs, and then they will make profit, we also gain at the end of the day. But one question came on board at that meeting. Yeah. The chairman of Jaiz Bank spoke, and I also spoke. Then the representative of the Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, Nuru Hanga, also spoke. Three of us, our thoughts aligned. What was the issue? They said because of the challenge of the non-Muslims, that since anything Islam, they will just attack it, they will just oppose it. The first Allah, national Allah they wanted to do, some non-Muslim truncated it. Now they now said because of that, they want to find a way around and not make it look more like, Islam. I raised up my hand and I told them, I said, look, halal is a global brand. Okay. It's a global brand. You cannot even tamper with it. The moment you tamper with halal, then we don't have business sitting in this hall. So whatever name you want to give it, that brand, halal is a global brand. We are not the only one using it. It is used everywhere in the world. And that is what actually makes people to come into that space. So we just advise them that whatever you want to do, make sure that brand, halal, is retained. This is exactly what we are saying, that government should respect the autonomy and Sharia governance of Islamic social finance institutions, whether non-Muslims like it or not. The moment they taste the product, they will own it more than you, the Muslims. And that is what we are seeing today in Nigeria. Go and do your study. The Islamic bank that we have, most Muslims are not deeply involved in it. But the non-Muslims, particularly from the southeast, the Igbos, they are the one benefiting from Islamic banking more than you, the Muslims. Not only in Nigeria, they are even gone to IDB, yes, to go and access. And you Muslims are here waiting. They have gone ahead of you. But these are the same people, when you want to start it, they will make noise. They want to Islamize Nigeria. You want to do this. But when they start seeing the benefits, they won't go back to the same media to go and complain that, no, they are not Islamizing, no, it is beneficial. But a typical non-Muslim man is a rational human being when it comes to consuming a product that ordinarily in their own space, they will charge them money. But when they come to Islamic arena, they almost get it, at a little or no any stress. The next slide is the role of Islamic financial institutions. Here, I've mentioned the different categories of the Islamic financial institution, from banking and finance to zakat and wakaf, right? The opportunities are there for them. Opportunities for, collection of partnerships, secure, payment platforms, cash workflow management, investment advisory services, financial literacy, product innovation, and then, of course, digital financial inclusion that can even include somebody who is not lettered. You don't have to be a graduate of any institution before you can be able to use digital to transact. You don't have to be, a graduate. It's just the same way you are using your cell phone. Somebody who's not a graduate can still use the cell phone to transact business. What he or she just needs to know is which particular, button to press, and then the transaction becomes concluded. Then, of course, potential partners also include Islamic banks, Takafu operators, non-interest financial institutions, and then fintech companies. I'm very happy to also inform you that, at least in Nigeria, let me ask you this question. How many fintech banks do we have in Nigeria operating currently? Some of you use them, but you may not know that is what they are called. How many do we know? Okay, let me give you a cue. How many of you have an account with OPay? When you say many, I say, how many of you here? Only you have account with OPay. Okay, we have a very good number of them. OPay is a fintech, banking platform. The stress is not there when you wanted to do what? You wanted to onboard yourself. Just open your phone, go to the app, input your name. Your telephone number is your account number. Just take away the first digit, 0. Then that's your number, your phone number becomes your account number, isn't it? And immediately when you have finished activating it, you are ready to go, isn't it? You can receive money from Jais Bank, from First Bank, from any bank, isn't it? Then you can also transfer, isn't it? That's a typical example of a fintech. But do you know that we have a Sharia compliant fintech? You don't know. I'm not marketing for them, but I'm going to also market for them. Yeah. Because we need to migrate from OPay. Me, I'm not on OPay again. The day they launch and they are operating, that was the day I said bye-bye to OPay. It is called Etika. Etika. No L at the end of Etika. Etika, yes. ETHITA. You can Google it. Please, it is Sharia compliant, 100%. And within the next 1 month of their launching, the number of subscribers they got was overwhelming. So please let us support Sharia compliant fintech banking. Everything you do on OPay, or you do with Jais, or you do with Taj Bank, is what you can do with Etika. Though it is still operating at the level of microfinance. It is not the higher banking conventional one, but it's still at the level of, microfinance. It is called Etika Microfinance. For strategic reason, they didn't give it any name that is associated with Islam. Now? Yes, I'm going to round up now. Yes. So please let us onboard ourselves there. And then what is the strategic value? Financial institutions provide infrastructure, expertise, and technology to strengthen Islamic social finance administration. Currently, when we look at the global Islamic finance assets, it has reached 3.88 trillion US dollar. This is as far back as 2024. And these reports can be found in the report of the Islamic Financial Standard Board, IFSB. for the year 2025. Right? Now, next one, please. I'm just going to mention this briefly, talking about the digital Islamic social finance ecosystems. The components include online contribution portals, which most of you are doing with OPay here and there, mobile applications, QR code payment, electronic receipt, beneficiary databases, geographic mapping of workflow assets, digital dashboards, artificial intelligence for analyticals and service support. And some of the benefits we get from this is that it is faster in terms of service delivery. The transparency is much more better, than when you go through the conventional ones. Then better planning, also the stronger accountability, and it also enhances donors' experience, particularly those big men who doesn't like people coming to disturb them in their offices. If they know you are online through your app, they can just easily just do the transfer. You don't need to come and meet them. They will say, I've already sent my contribution to you. That is, if you are online, you are using digital platform. Again, let's look at cash workflow as a development catalyst. Why cash workflow? That's the question. Cash workflow allows individuals to contribute regardless of their wealth level. I mentioned this yesterday. A poor person can also do cash workflow. So nobody has any excuse not to be involved. Unlike zakat, poor man cannot pay zakat. The poor man can benefit from zakat. But a poor man can contribute to workflow. A poor man can also institutionalize workflow, particularly when we talk about cash workflow. Because of time, I will have given you some examples in some part of the world. In fact, here, when I was in Lagos some times ago, we attempted doing it. What discouraged us was that we discovered that the service providers are the one making more money than us. We wanted to, use, to do cash workflow through service provider, telephone service providers, the MTN, the Airtel, then the Glo, so that any person that has a cell phone, what the person will just do is that, just like they will say, you can send as many times as you like. You can send 20, 30 times. Send this code to this number, *111*. Don't write. So this one I'm giving you is not original. I'm just giving you as an example. And just an example. The code is *111*#. Send this to Glo. If it is for MTN, say *112*#. The moment you send it, that money will go, that 20 naira you have sent, they will deduct it from your airtime. You are not giving them cash money, but you are making your cash donation through airtime. So 20 naira has been deducted from your airtime. From that 20 naira, the service providers told us that from the 20 naira, they are going to take, almost like about, between 10 to 12 naira. You now ask yourself, if you are the one taking the lion's share of the money, it's like we are the one bringing business for you now. And then before you know it, government will also make their own deduction. You pay your VAT, from that transaction. So what eventually comes to you as an organization, yes, it's better than zero. But again, we just felt, it is premature for us at this stage to be creating money for the service provider. So let us go back and develop our product first. So when we get to that level, then we can renegotiate. It is one way through which, again, a poor man can contribute to cash workflow. Don't forget that many of the Almajiris today, they have cell phone. I'm not even talking of smart cell phone. I'm talking of cell phone that they can make a call, they can send SMS message, they can take pictures, they can use it as a torchlight. Those phones, you can also use them to do what? To make contribution for workflow. Just press the code, they will deduct. And then, of course, the possible application we can use this in the cash workflow for, they are so numerous. We can use cash workflow to provide scholarship. You can use cash workflow also to provide health support services to people that do not have the resources. You can provide cash workflow again for research grants in the institute. Okay, we have a particular challenge in our community. How do we solve this problem? You can have a partnership with the universities and tell them that you have a grant through the cash workflow. Let them go and do research on this. And the outcome of the research will be a solution to the problem that you, as Zakat or workflow agency, you want to solve. You can do this through cash workflow. Micro enterprise support also can be done. And then community infrastructure, can be done. There are some communities that have been disconnected from the main community because they don't have a bridge. The only means of, crossing is maybe a small canoe. This same canoe will be the one that will carry the bicycle of the farmer who wants to cross to the other side. But you can do, through cash workflow, you can erect a bridge from point A to point B, such that it will reduce the cost people are spending in using the canoe to ferry. So people can walk through, people can ride their bicycle or their motorcycles here and there. And of course, you can also use cash workflow for vocational training for people to learn. You see, Allah has given us some skills. Like many of us who are here, including myself, I always tell people that wallahi, we are not maximizing the ni'mah of Allah He has given us. We are using less than 10% of what Allah has given us. Less than 10%. Let me give you a practical example. I'm a right-hand person. I write with my right hand. But if you ask me to use my left hand to write, I will be unable to do it. Why? Because you have not yet unlocked the potential of using your left hand. But the day you have accident, God forbid bad thing, that the right hand cannot function. What happens? Auto switch. You auto switch. It is not even you. You don't have control over it. You just switch to the left. When you first start, it will be very, very, wobble. But with time, you are improving. You are improving. Before you know it, you master the use of your left hand. That is the way this thing is. Let me stop at this junction for our brother, Hamid Rashid, to take us through. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Maybe we should have more of a but against time. So, inshallah, later we'll have plenty of more. The next presentation seems to be from the family Rashid from Kera, Asia. She was on digital and practical application for effective management of the company. Surely it will be very interesting and important. Assalamualaikum and good morning, everyone.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How's everyone feeling this morning?
Alhamdulillah.
Everyone was there dinner last night. How was the picnic? Yeah, I know some people overate and they're not here. I didn't find them. So, yeah. Okay, thank you. All right. I know we have less time, so I will try to see how to squeeze it into as much, as possible. But what we'll also do is we will extend towards the end of the day. So even though we're going to cut time now, but we'll give you the same time end of the day. Okay. So maybe the session might go on until Maghrib. Okay. So just be patient. I believe Al-Haji Maidoki has arranged this for the benefit and brought so many experts from around the world to, share their knowledge with you. And hopefully you will take away some positive out of our experiences from around the world.
So firstly, I'd like to thank, of course, Alhaji Rawal Maidoki for organizing this and being instrumental in putting this together. Now, many of you may not know what actually went on behind the scenes to make today possible. It is a journey of 2 years. Mid 2024, this journey started to reach today here. So, application to IDB, how much of pulling of hairs with them, right? And it just goes on and on and on until we reach today, right? So this is the net result and benefit that you're seeing of hard works of the leaders that we have today. Thank you, sir. Okay. My name is Hamid Rashid. Sometimes people ask me, what do you do? Like this morning, and I was blur. I'm not sure what I actually do. It's just like the child asks the father, what job do you do? The father has no answer, right? So sometimes it becomes of that nature. But yeah, I kind of do many things, but ultimately, maybe once it boils down, right? For the last 10 years, I've only done one thing: Islamic social finance. That is what I do. Okay. Now, of course, Dr. Abdullahi reflected on what is Islamic social finance and the different 10 elements of Islamic social finance. Um, uh, you know, when you do PhD, you end up debating a lot. It becomes more like a not psychology, but a philosophy. Everything you put what they say spices on it. One argument, you put more spices on it. It's just for the heck of argument, I guess. So yes, he has his 10, 10 elements of Islamic social finance, and I respect that, right? Unfortunately, last 10 years, I've only promoted 5, and I call them the 3.2 points of Islamic social finance, and I'll take you through them, okay? And that is what. I come from a practitioner's background. I'm not academic, but yes, I do conduct a lot of conferences, lot of lectures at universities and corporate offices, but I'm not an academic. I have never been one. It's not that, I don't want to be. I find it extremely difficult what the academics do. It's very, very difficult to prepare, to deliver, and to monitor the students. It's like managing a herd of goats. So if today I bring 300 goats and say, go manage them, you cannot imagine how they run this every direction, and you alone. That's how it is. That's how it feels like. I did beginning of this year, I was given a class by one of the universities in Malaysia because very specialized area of blockchain, cryptocurrency. So that's one of my areas. So I was given one semester to conduct classes, and I had 55 students in my class. It was a nightmare. The following semester, they asked, so we'll continue. I said, no, thank you. You pay, you don't pay, I am not coming back ever again. So that was the end of it. Okay, I will not manage students. It's not that students are difficult. It's just, it is an amana. Your parents have sent you to the university, and that is an amana on the university to train you and to develop you, right? Now, if that amana I cannot fulfill, I don't think I'm fit to do the job. Okay. And it's better to say no and step aside and let better people do it than you just do it for the sake of doing. And at the end, we have all crappy students with all funny ideas. They come out and then they claim, I don't have a job, I cannot perform, and they blame the university. I should have gone to London to study. This local university is crap. No, because maybe the lecturers did not fulfill the amana as it was in trusting them. So that's what I felt, that is just too much work. Maybe my efforts and time could be put somewhere to add better value. And that's why I guess I'm here telling you the stories. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to start off in a slightly unconventional way, just like we say, whoever has done PhD is always unconventional. So my first, order of the day is I want all of you to stand up. Can all of you stand up, please? Okay. So many of you will be thinking we are going to do the national anthem. Unfortunately, I forgot. Okay, the national anthem. We are not going to do the national anthem. Just flex yourself a little bit, move around, right? Because what happens is after you sit through 1 hour of lecture, the brain goes to sleep and lot of food, and you're thinking of other things. right? So this will help you to focus what I'm about to say. And your blood is flowing, blood is flowing going to the head. And you think clearly, yeah? All right, okay. Thank you very much. I think you can sit down. Otherwise, this will become a gym class, not Islamic social finance. Yeah, we have a gym outside. I saw we can go for that end of the day. Okay. All right. Now that you are a little bit more accustomed to that we are in a class, we are not in a storytelling session. So we are in a class and you're here to learn something. What happens is because all of you are either students, right? Quite serious long-term students, or you are practitioners from the industry. What happens in this when I say long-term, 3-5 years? We become accustomed to what we do. Every day in, day out is the same, right? Family, the local environment, the culture, ourself, our study. And what happens is we stop thinking big. We stop thinking innovative way, creative ways. Okay, we just become very myopic into very small things that we think about, and then many years will pass, and then you look back and you say, "I lost so many of my dreams. I should have achieved this. I should have done that." But the time is already past. You cannot rerun the time. Okay, so this happens, and basically, this creates deep-seated, sentiments within you, and that becomes very difficult to come out of. And that's what they call mindset, right? People cannot change easily, especially old people, right? Old people, you tell them to travel. No, I'm happy in my house. The most they'll do is front door and back in, right? They don't want to move out. You tell them, hey, now we have an e-wallet. Dr. Abdullahi spoke about e-wallet and payment gateway. They say, no, I have cash. I'd rather go and stand in the counter with 100 people in front of you. I will still wait 2 hours to pay my bills. Rather, they can just do it on the phone in 10 seconds. They still don't want to. So change becomes a very big issue. Change is not something that, that cannot be managed. It is a psychological issue. It's nothing to do with that the environment holding you. It's something holding you. No, change is psychological. The issue is inside you, and that is inside your brain and inside your heart. It's nothing to do with the environment. You have become a slave, a servant of the situation around you. Okay, and that's what your brain is telling you. So I would like to prove to you, okay, that this is a psychological issue, and you can actually come out of it, and you can actually go back into it. So you can come out from what situation you are in, and you can also put back yourself in the situation you are in. Okay, and this is not just a theory. I can actually prove it to you right now. In this class, I can show you how to come out of a issue that you have put yourself into, and I can put you back into the same issue. Yeah. You want me to demonstrate it? Yeah. I'll demonstrate it to you right now. Yes. Okay? How to take you out of your mind. Yeah? Okay. So let's do a small exercise. How many of you are wearing a watch? Can you put up your hand? I'm wearing a watch. So people don't believe in a watch, is it? The phone is good enough for them. Who is wearing a watch? Okay, we have at least few people wearing a watch. Okay, so we have a watch. All right, very nice. Now, let's do an exercise. Okay, simple, just listen to my instruction and follow the instruction. Okay, so take off the watch from the wrist that you're wearing on. So I'm wearing it on my left wrist. Take it off from that wrist and put it on the other wrist. That is the instruction. Okay, proceed. So I'm taking off my watch here, and I'm going to put it here. Okay. Now I have a watch here. Yep. Have you done that? Everybody done? You changed the watch to your other hand, right? Okay. You did that, Mala? Oh, you don't have a watch. You did. Okay. Can you just tell me one feeling that you had? What did you feel when you did that? Uncomfortable. Okay. So he suddenly felt uncomfortable. Who did? Okay. What did you feel? So strange. See,
Yes.
Suddenly he realized he has a watch. Before he never thought that he has a watch. First time in his life, he's thinking about a watch. Who else did? Oh, you did. What did you feel?
A little bit harder than the other hand.
Yes. Yeah. So he realized putting on a watch is very difficult. Before he never thought about it. So easy to put on. Anybody else did? At least we can have 1%.
Yeah.
No. Okay. Yeah, doctor. What did you feel, doctor?
I feel my left hand was a bit heavy.
There you go. Yep. Many people even will say, I didn't know I have left hand. Suddenly I felt I have a left hand. So he felt his left hand. No, don't change. Stay as it is. Okay. So see the psychology? Because we put this watch on our hand, the same place every morning, but we are late for our meeting. We don't even think don't look at the time. We are late for every meeting. What is the purpose of you having watch on your hand? Right? Suddenly if you feel, wait, we felt different. We had so many feelings for the first time. But the watch was there always. For the last 10 years, you are wearing the same watch. You didn't even realize what is the purpose of the watch. Right? So look at it. The watch had captured your mind, psychology. You are a prisoner and a slave of the watch. But suddenly, when I took the watch away from you somewhere else, you realize, where's my watch? Oh, my hand is heavy. Oh, I have a watch. Oh, the watch actually shows time. And we start realizing the purpose of the watch. Before, we never even thought about the watch. Okay, so now let me put you back where you came from. So do the same exercise. Take off the watch and put it on the original wrist. Okay. Here. All right, done. You just did that. Can you tell me what did you feel when you put back the watch?
It's normal.
There you go. He's back in the cage. Yeah, feels normal. I'm very happy. Anybody else? What did you feel? Yes. For the first time, he realized he has a watch. Before, every morning he put, but he doesn't know there's a watch. So see, now you're back in your cage. And again, now we'll not follow the time. All right? So this is what psychology is. We become accustomed to what we do every day, right? For this, right, we need to create change in our life. And the watch was never our master, but we made it our master by becoming its slave. We forgot the purpose of the watch, and we allowed the watch just as a cosmetic show off. I have a iWatch, Apple Watch. I have a Rolex. I don't know which other brands are there, but that was the statement. Actually, the watch purely was for showing you the time, to be on time, that your salah is on time, your appointments are on time. That was the only purpose, but you made it so much more brain. Right? Yes. So the same thing happens with our social finance. Now, how many of you have you researched or realized that in Islamic civilization, 1400 years now, plus, we never had any Islamic banks. Okay, so I'm not against Islamic banks, but I guess we got to state the truth, right? Did we have ever any banks? We never had any banks. Yes, the Europeans had banks. They called them the Venetian banks from Italy, from Venice, and they were lending money. The Jews had banks 500, 800 years ago. They were lending money and charging interest. But did the Islamic civilization have any banks? As far as through my readings, I've never come across a statement, forget about an article, but a statement that there were any Islamic banks. Actually, there were none. Okay? So is it that the Muslims were so backwards? We had no finance, we had no banking, we were so backwards and we didn't know how to manage our finances? Also is not true. Because the biggest infrastructure development in the history of mankind, post pyramids, okay? We don't know what they did, but at least post pyramids, is the Islamic civilization infrastructure development. We had roads, we had hospitals, we had universities all over the world. We had orchards, we had plantations, we had, hospitals, we had everything. Infrastructure. So when you go to the Islamic countries, you see 800 years ago, this mosque was built and it's actually big. Okay? See, building is one thing, which is engineering. Finance. How was it financed? Today, if I ask you, go and build a house, here is the free land for you. Before you can buy the bricks and the cement or anything, you have to worry about the finance, right? So where did the finance come for all this infrastructure? Okay, was it that the Muslim nations were going and invading other countries and stealing their gold and stealing their things and involved in slave trade, involved in all kind of illegal activities, selling opium, right, and making money and developing our infrastructure? I didn't read that also in any history books. Muslims, yes, conquered a lot of places, but they never stole anything and brought back to Makkah. And now Makkah is like London or New York or I don't know, Venice or Rome. Many of you might have gone to Makkah. Makkah is as good as undeveloped when you compare it to many of the Western countries, right? We never stole anything of anybody and brought back to develop our infrastructure, right? So these are things that we have to think. So how did Islamic civilizations did their Islamic banking? Firstly, we did not have banks. We have to always realize that there were only three institutions, financial institutions in Islamic civilization. Three only. Anyone want to take the first hit? Which is the first financial institution in Islamic history, and it exists until today. Anybody want to put up their hand? Yes, sir. What is the institution? Yes. Institution of zakah, because the instruction for zakah was already given in the Quran and it was already being practiced by our beloved Prophet and the Sahaba. So institution of wakaf. Other institutions, sorry, institute of zakat. Other institution. Yes. Sadaqah. So sadaqah is not an institution. Sadaqah is a practice. Is not an institution. We can't say sadaqah house or ministry of sadaqah, right? So sadaqah is just a practice. Yeah. Okay. So wakaf. So yes, I think from Prophet's time, wakaf already gone into practice, right? But there was no institution. Over time, it became into an institution, right? Which was maybe one of the first known wakafs created. Anybody has any idea? One of the first ones that was created. I know many people will debate over it, but the most popular one based on the journal articles that are always written. Wakaf of? Yes. And what was the wakaf? What actually was the wakaf? The well, the water well, right? How many of you know this story? The creation of wakaf using the water well. Okay, so the story in a very short form is that there was a Jew in Medina, okay, and he had a water well. When the Muslims go to fetch water, he charged them. And he was charging a lot because the other water source was very far away. So if you want the free water, you have to walk very far away. But if you want nearby, then you just pay, you take. Okay. So based on so many, battles and all that, Radiallahu Umar came to certain wealth. He managed to get some money. So he went to the Prophet and asked, what can I do with this money? What should I invest it into? So Prophet advised him, see that well, you purchase this well from the Jew, okay, and you make it for the people, okay? You make it his, right? You make it for the people. So that's what he did. He went, he negotiated. The Jew said, I'm going to charge you so much. Okay, whatever it is, no problem. Whatever you want, I'll give you. He gave all the money. And the Jew thought, now that he has bought the well, he will have to double the price to charge the Muslim because it's an investment, right? He has to also make money. But the Jew didn't realize that immediately he said, this well is for the people. Anyone can come and withdraw the water. It's free of charge. It is wakaf. They didn't understand the concept. The Jews didn't understand the concept of wakaf. And that was one of the first documented wakafs that was created. Of course, there are many others from there. There is the orchard, the date farm, and many others. Okay, so that was the first. Now that story itself has many principles within it. A lot of time I get debated around it, especially when it comes to things like permanent wakaf, temporary wakaf, a return on investment on wakaf, ROI, and many others I get debated. That story itself has so many fine things that you can pull out to justify many of the current practices that we debate about. Okay, so anyway, we'll go into that later. Okay, so the institutions that I'm talking about in social, finance. Sorry. Okay, in social finance, right, are five. I call them five. Five are zakat, right? Sadaqah, zakat, wakaf. These are the three. Okay, so I call them the 3+2 principles. So three, and the two are takaful, and the last one is wasiyah. Okay, so these are the 3+2 elements of Islamic social finance which you can institutionalize. Okay, so of course, Sadaqah is not an institution, but it is institutionalized in many forms and many places. Okay, so this is kind of, I will call it, is the social finance. So we can now maybe drill a little bit deeper into this area. So far, is everybody okay? My presentation is fine. You need me to change? Sorry, the language is a little bit, I forgot, Namanta. Otherwise, I would have started in Hausa to give you the lecture. Okay. But if you still want to ask me question in Hausa, you can ask. I can respond back. So I think understanding is still there, maybe 80-90%, but the speaking is lost. Okay. So again, it's a psychological thing, right? So inshallah. Okay. I mean, Alhaji Maidoki, Malam Maidoki knows my background. Actually, when I look back, the city of Sokoto has given me and my family a lot that many of you cannot even imagine. And I, praise Allah and I thank Allah for that a lot. I moved to Sokoto when I was 7 years old. Okay, 7 years old. That was in 1980. At that time, Sokoto was a different place. Okay, it wasn't a village. It was a very developed place, I would tell you. It was one of the highlights places because it was the Caliphate. And our president at that time was Shehu Shagari. Okay, and he favored Sokoto a lot. So the development was huge, huge. Our central market was developed under him, right? The palace gate was put up, right? The road in front of the palace from Sultan Bello until the palace, the new road. Okay. Of course, university was 1982, 88, they started moving in 82, but the development started in 80, yes. And a lot of things I can tell you. The dam, Baklori Dam was 85, 86, right? Was developed by Italians, actually, if you don't know. Italians developed it, okay? The road and the university was developed by UK, okay? A company in UK. So yes, so that should tell you why I have so many white hairs, okay? Is because I have seen it all physically, okay? So yeah, so I went through that era, early era of Sokoto, because in 70s, I would say, yes, Sokoto was quite backwards. But 80s was, I will call it, in the modern times, it was a golden age, start of golden age. Inshallah, there'll be bigger and better things coming. But was the golden age where education, it became an education center at that time. Primary, secondary, teaching colleges, engineering colleges, and of course, our University of Sokoto. It was never called Usman Danfodio. It was University of Sokoto. Okay. All right. So that was the first, era. And then through that development of the 80s, right, I think there were a lot of good things that came up of Sokoto, especially very high profile type of people that studied here, that learned the culture from here, took it to all over the world. And I would say, I think maybe my father also being one of them, Professor Dr. Said Khalid Rashid. He was the Dean of Law at University of Sokoto for 10 years. So those learnings were taken. And these learnings are not just the practical learnings of the subject, but these are the lifestyle, right? The hikmah of life was observed and adopted and then captured in the academics itself. Okay, and that created a lot of momentum around the world. And you'll be surprised that Saudi Arabia in those days used to look up to Sokoto and used to take professors and many people from Sokoto, Zaria, and Kano to Saudi Arabia to teach them. Okay, so King Abdulaziz University, King Fahad University in Jeddah, a lot of the big conferences must have the Sokoto element, and the Zaria and the Kano element were always there. And they were the leading scholars at that time that were, consulted with. So yes, it is a blessing, yeah, right, to be in Sokoto and to be back in Sokoto. Yeah, and many of you may think, oh, it's a very dusty old place and all that. That is just the physical form, right? But if you look at again back psychology and the spiritual form, it is very, very advanced, very advanced. And I believe a lot of you may be doing your master's or PhD or planning to do. Somebody should actually do a research on this. The spiritual, spiritual underlying of the Sokoto Caliphate. Okay, because this whole journey, right, started with that element as the objective. It wasn't set up because we wanted to create a kingdom and look different and be the richest and all that. It was not that. The objective was only one: allow us to practice our religion in the purest form. That was the objective, right? So, and I think that was achieved. I would say it was highly achieved. It's just like, many of you who might have gone to Makkah, Medina, or many other cities, Taif and all. But when you come to Medina, there is a different feeling, right? There's a whether you like it or not, right? And that feeling is in your heart. The feeling is not outside because the road is better or the hotel is better or the food is better. It is something underlying. That is what it is here in South Africa. Okay. So either we benefit from it or we can just observe it and move on. It's up to you. Okay. But yeah. All right. So that became the underlying. Yes, I went to Rima Road Primary School. That's my primary school, Secretariat. Okay. So I finished from there. I went to Sultan Bello. I'm a graduate of Sultan Bello Secondary School. Wasn't a very good student. I didn't like it so much, but something, in those days, there was no internet, there was no mobile phone, there was no computer, but there was actually window. So we just used to take the window and go around shooting some birds here and there, and play in the sand a lot. So that was our full-time job. So we did that, and then fortunately or unfortunately, yes, sir. Okay, we can debate that after the session. We can have breakouts, a lot of breakouts, don't worry. Okay, so after that, I got admitted in Usman Damfodio, and I started, I was quite good in the sciences, physics, biology, chemistry, and those. So I got admitted to microbiology and biochemistry in Usman Damfodio, and I started my journey in that space. So I went for classes and all that. It was okay. It wasn't that great of a student, but yeah, alhamdulillah, somehow scraped through. Okay. But at that time, then my father got transferred and moved to Malaysia. And ever since, we kind of migrated to Malaysia. So it was a migration from Sokoto to Malaysia. And that is how, you think I'm Malaysian. Well, I think I would say more at heart, I'm from Sokoto. Yeah. So that journey continued. And of course, in Malaysia also, I did not stay so much in Malaysia. As soon as I went there, I realized that their education system was way behind compared to Nigeria, surprisingly. Okay. And I was quite unhappy in the university there that I found that they were not competent enough to my level. And coming from Sokoto, and my O levels was actually WAEC. I did WAEC, West African Examination Council. Okay, so I actually finished WAEC. So I found it that it's very low quality education. So I was very unhappy. I stayed in Malaysia only 2 years and unhappy. So my father sent me to Australia. Okay, so I alone at the age of 16 or 17, I was moved to Australia. And I went, I had my own place, I lived on my own, and I went for my first degree in Australia. I finished that in 3 or 4 years, and then I did my postgraduate also from Australia, and then came back to Malaysia in 1999 and did my second master's in Malaysia in IT management. Yes, and then got a job and then kind of settled down. So I wouldn't say that I stayed so much in Malaysia as well. Kind of I was moving around. Even after my postgraduate in Malaysia, I moved to UK for some time. From UK, I moved to US also for some time, and then came back again to Malaysia. So kind of been moving around. So alhamdulillah, this gives a lot of global perspective, a lot of global exposure, right? and appreciation for good and bad, and hopefully, Allah will guide that you choose the right. Okay, so that has been. So yes, so I've been in Malaysia, worked for initially Hewlett Packard, HP, the guys who make your laptop. HP, yeah. So American company. So I worked for HP, but in the software engineering side of it, in research and development, and yes, worked in Malaysia, Singapore, and then I got invited to Petronas, the Malaysian oil and gas. Even though I don't know anything about oil and gas, I was more in technology, so I moved to Petronas in 2010. Yeah, 2010. And so I learned quite a lot. I ran 6 divisions as a general manager for Petronas, all technology related. And then by 2014, I decided that these large companies, large enterprises, world, they're called MNC, multinational corporation. Assalamu alaikum. You're welcome. These large corporations, the way that they work is very mechanized way. Okay, everything is very process-oriented, mechanized way. There is no creativity as such, which is individual creativity. And I was feeling that I'm getting claustrophobic because I had many ideas which I couldn't execute. So, Alhamdulillah, see, Allah always lines up the stars for you when the time comes. So by then, a friend of mine that we studied together came to me. He had gone into business. I went into working. He came to me and said, hey, let's do something together. And the idea was, at that time, if you remember BlackBerry, I don't know how many of you are old enough to remember BlackBerry, right? So BlackBerry, the company itself, was a very good product. It died in 2013. There were some issues in the company and they shut down. Okay, but it was very successful. We decided to redevelop BlackBerry, okay, and to relaunch it. So I came out of Petronas in 2014 and we developed a product called You and Me. And yes, Alhamdulillah, it took 3 years, but we became extremely large in that region. And within 3 years, we had a Russian company come to us and they bought us out because they found that the technology is extremely advanced. So the Russians decided to buy us out completely, all the technology, the intellectual property, and to take it back to Russia. So, as an unexperienced business guy, that was my first time. I never done business in my life. And money looked very nice at that time. So I said, okay, just give me this many million. Thank you very much. I took the money and gave the company to them. They took it back. So now I kind of have no job. So 2016 end of 17, I had no job. So now when you have no job and you have a lot of money, you have a lot of creative ideas. Okay, stupid creative ideas, I would say. So then I was looking by March of 2017 that I must do something, but maybe I should do something that is good for the community, good for the country, good for the people. So now what do I do? So then started studying, looking at things and all that. And I fell into, a doctor's area of social finance. At that time in 2016-17, I don't think there were any research papers on social finance. Okay. There was hardly. But anyway, I managed to find here and there something I read. So I looked at social finance from a business angle. I didn't care at that time about the social impact of it. I just cared about what can make you the most money and what can make you the fastest money. Want to become rich fast. Okay. So I said, fine, let's do a due diligence feasibility study. So any of you, if you have done accounting, you will know the feasibility study on a cash flow, how to do it. So we did feasibility study on Sadaqah, on Zakat, and on Waqaf in 2016 and 17. Okay, and I'll share you some information from those research, which will open your eyes that even till today, a lot of people don't realize when you do a cash flow feasibility on these 3 institutions. And I found that Sadaqah was quite good, but Sadaqah cannot be controlled. It is like a wild animal. You can catch it, you can put it in the cage, you cannot control it. Because you can keep it for 10 years, the day you open the cage, it will attack you. Sadaqah is very dangerous. Okay? But the good thing with Sadaqah is based on the Sharia law. Okay? If you don't give Sadaqah, say you make a niyyah in your heart, I will not give Sadaqah in my life. God will never punish you. God will never punish you for not giving Sadaqah. But God will always reward you when you give Sadaqah. Okay? That is something very unique to understand. Okay? So sadaqah is good for you, but it's not bad for you. You don't give, it's okay. It's my choice. I decide not to give. And the reason why I said cannot be controlled, because people give sadaqah in privacy. Only very few people, maybe our politicians, like Doctor said, they want to become popular. So they'll bring some big check or something, unfortunately, and say, I'm going to take care of these poor people, right? And then feed them and all. But majority Muslim, historically, have given sadaqah in privacy. Okay? And it's something they like to do peer-to-peer, one-to-one. So I don't disperse my sadaqah, I send money to somebody, and that somebody will go and do the sadaqah for me. I want to be involved. I want to see the faces of those people. I want to see the building that will be put. I want to see the books that will be bought and given. People take sadaqah very personal. And that is the reason I say you cannot control it. So I cannot create a sadaqah house and tell everybody in the country, you want to give sadaqah, you give to me first. I will disperse for you. I say, come on, don't waste your time. Okay? Many people have tried actually. I can tell you many use cases. They have tried. They did not succeed. Because the collection was so bad. They were hoping to make money from sadaqah. So you give to me, I will take 10% for my effort, admin charges. Okay? And then 90% I'll disperse. Unfortunately, they couldn't collect enough. How to survive? So you can't pay your rental, you can't pay salary, you can't pay electricity bill. So finish. You shut down after some time. But they tried, many tried. So sadaqah cannot be controlled. Okay? And that is what sadaqah is a self, induced. You give. And if we compare sadaqah, many of you might come from the Islamic finance and banking industry. You understand saving account, right? Everybody has saving account? Yeah, everybody has saving account, right? So you open account, they say it's a saving account. So the way sadaqah works, and I'm telling you, not the Sharia law of Allah, the way sadaqah works. When you give sadaqah, say 1 naira or 1 ringgit or $1, example, you are given 1 point, 1 ajr, 1 God point, 1 loyalty point. You're given 1 point. Okay? Many will tell you even it might be more points. But anyway, let's take it. I give 1 naira, I get 1 point. And that point goes as credit, if you understand accounting. Okay? So now in sadaqah is, if I do bad, does Allah actually make your sadaqah disappear? No. So now I have given money in sadaqah, I got my credit points with Allah. So he has a big book and he writes in there in the credit ledger. Now I go and do bad. Does he erase that and say, no, he writes the debit side. So on the other page is written, he did bad and this is the bad points. And on the day of judgment, we will measure debit versus credit, profit and loss statement. Whether were you in profit or you made loss. If you made loss, you're going to hell. If you made profit, you will have the greener door to enter. Right? That's the accounting of sadaqah. And that is how God measures sadaqah. But say if I decide not to give sadaqah, meaning your book is empty. Right? So your book is empty. You have no credit, you have no debit. So now what's the decision? So the decision will be based on other things that you have done. But you will not be judged on sadaqah because you decide not to give. Right? And there is no bad in not giving. So that's sadaqah. So now you understand sadaqah, the concept itself. On the zakat is slightly different, right? So we can take the same rules and apply it on zakat, saying zakat is, many people around the world, Muslims, they say zakat is a tax. Just like you earn your salary, the government comes and cuts some and say this is for tax. Zakat is not tax. Don't mistake. Zakat has never been a tax in the Muslim history. The concept of tax comes from the Western European, because their kings, to collect money, used to tax the people. Okay? When they give you, you work on their land, you earn, they take some tax from you. That is how the kings of the Western Europe existed and survived. Muslim sultans, emirs, right, sheikhs, whoever, they never collect tax. They collect rental. Okay? So if they own the land, they give the land to you. You grow something there, you sell, you give some to me. But if you don't grow anything there, you have this year no rain, nothing grow, you don't give anything to me. So whether you can call it as a ijara or you can call it as a musharaka, profit and loss share, it was always a rental agreement. Okay, so they never went and taxed people. So zakat is not tax. That's the first thing you have to understand. Okay, and it has never been. Zakat is charitable tax. Okay, in other words, so many people still get confused charitable tax. Actually, the correct word is cleansing fund. The banks, Islamic banks all over the world, they use that word today, is a cleansing fund. Cleansing fund is the logic of it that Allah tells us, right? Is that every day in our day-to-day activity, in our transactions, right? Transaction could be also what I'm telling you, could be a verbal transaction. I tell you something, but I didn't mean it. Just to make you go away, I tell you, okay, I'll see you tomorrow. No problem. I never see you tomorrow. I was just telling you to go away. Okay. Sometime when I'm selling something, especially maybe in Sokoto, this is very, applicable. The guy selling the tomatoes is a big hill amount of tomatoes. And then you say, give me tomatoes for 1,000 naira. So he will pick, and put in the bag. But 5 he picked which were overripe or about to spoil. And he put in the bag for you. And he give you, and you are gone. Whether you realize or not. Now, this accumulates in our life. It's not intentional. He was not trying to cheat them. He has no intention. But it happened unintentionally, sometimes even intentionally. You cheat. So these negative points are being written in your debit ledger, negative points. So Allah gives you an opportunity every year to clean this by giving zakat. Zakat cleanses your unintentional mistakes in your transactions, how you earn money and how you save money. Okay, that is what is zakat. Okay, is a cleansing fund. It cleans you. So if we apply that logic of can you give zakat or decide not to give? No, zakat is mandated. If you are an adult earning and saving, there is a formal way of accounting the percentage of zakat you need to give. Of course, we all know the 2.5, 2.55%. Many countries, we play around with that. But yeah, the 2.5%. So there is a formal way of calculating the zakat. But then the choice is you want to pay it in one installment or you want to pay it in multi installments, but you must pay it within the same year. The next physical year should not come, meaning Ramadan to Ramadan. You must clear your zakat before Ramadan, if possible. Don't wait until Ramadan. Okay? So you are given 12 months to calculate and clear your zakat. You don't have money today, no problem. You can pay every month, 12 months, you can clear. But please pay your zakat because this is a cleansing fund. It is good for you. If you don't give, it is bad for you. Sadaqah, if you don't give, is not bad for you. It's okay. Zakat you don't give, it is written as a negative point. Okay? And then, of course, ulama will go even further. And of course, Sahabas have gone further in saying that what differentiates between Muslim and non-Muslim? Of course, Salah is one, but zakat is also there. You don't give zakat, meaning you are pushing yourself a little bit on the boundaries of practice and acceptance of Islam. Okay? So please try to give zakat so that you are within the boundary. Don't stay on the wall. Okay? So that is zakat. Now coming to waqaf. And waqaf is the most misunderstood, institution. And I'll tell you the geopolitical or the reasons behind it. Waqaf was an institution, and you can read this in history books, whether you read it in the manuscripts from Mali, manuscripts from Istanbul, manuscripts from the Mughal Empire. We are talking about 500 and 800 years, okay, and 1,000 years. The manuscripts on Waqaf will tell you that this was the most mature institution when it comes to administration. Okay? So administration was mainly in the hands of Waqaf. And what is Waqaf? Okay? So maybe if you put a formal definition around Waqaf. Waqaf is nothing more than giving an asset. And again, maybe we need to understand what is an asset. Okay? So giving an asset into perpetuity. Okay? So making an asset a hifz, giving the asset into perpetuity. So what does that actually mean? That means you can take any physical asset, okay? So traditionally it's physical, but then of course we modernize over time. So then we also started looking at virtual, okay? Meaning I can put my idea as a wakaf. I can make my time as a wakaf. Those are virtual, what I'm referring to. Physical traditionally means things like land, property, and that's how we can also categorize movable and immovable assets. Okay? So movable assets are things like your car, furniture, books, weapons, right? Maybe this camera, mobile phone, these are movable assets. Immovable assets, of course, are land and property. Okay? So those are immovable. So you can take any of these assets and give them into wakaf, meaning you make a niyyah, you make an intention, and you give them into wakaf. Giving into wakaf as a practice is you are letting go the ownership, and you are giving the ownership of the asset to anybody. Who do you transfer the ownership to? No. Many people will say we transfer it to Malam Maidoki under Sozicom. No. No. Yes, to God. You are gifting the asset which is under your title. Okay, so now the intention have to change. The niyyah has to change here. Because in the Western culture, the niyyah is, I earned it, I own it, is mine. Islamic interpretation is, no, you never earned it. The opportunity, risk was given to you by Allah. The property belongs to Allah. You are only a temporary custodian until you die. If you have children, okay. If you don't have, then something else will happen. You are only a custodian of anything in this world. So it is a fundamental thought process is different. It is not, we cannot subscribe to the Western thought process and then talk about wakaf. Because then you will never come to the point. You just beat around the bush all the time, right? Oh, it was mine. I gave it to you. Why don't you take care of it, right? It's like, why are you worried? You have a plot of land. I'm sure even the Pharaoh from the Egypt, right? He'll be turning in his grave and thinking, hey, that pyramid was my property. Now look at all these tourists, what they're doing there. Please get them out. Sorry, you died. It's gone to somebody else's hand. You can't do anything. You can't do anything. You're dead. Okay? So that is what wakaf is. That it never belonged to you. It was in your possession. You are so happy with Allah that you transfer it in Allah's, because when you transfer to Allah's hand, that shows your trust, your iman, and then you share it with everybody, like a common property. But when you do that, see, Allah is not physically sitting in this world to come and take from you or for you to give, right? Somebody is appointed to be the administrator to manage. And that is where the Waqaf board, people like Sozicom, the Awqaf, right? The Nazir comes into place. So historically, even your family member can be a Nazir. Okay? So the administrator will take care of that asset once you give it. Okay? So you are Nazir, you are giving a Nazar of the asset to the Nazir. Nazir becomes the administrator until the end of time. So then from there we can go into temporary and temporary, permanent, and all those wakafs. Maybe just another 5 minutes, then we will be, yeah. Okay. So if you apply the same understanding on the zakat and wakaf, zakat and sadaqah to wakaf, okay, wakaf is not compulsory. So it's something to understand. Wakaf is not compulsory. So if you don't give wakaf for the whole life and you pass away, there is no negative points. Okay? But if you give wakaf, there is a lot of benefit to you. Lot of benefit to you. Okay? So that is one thing that you need to understand. Now, how much should we give into wakaf? Like zakat, we know how much we are supposed to give. 2.5% of your earnings and savings, and maybe other assets, especially gold if you're holding, you need to give certain percentage of that to the charity. Okay. Wakaf, how much should we give? Again, there is no compulsion. It's up to you what you can afford. Okay. So today, if I want to give, pencil or a pen into wakaf, I can give. I have a book in my library. I don't want it anymore. I can give it into wakaf. Okay. I can give my time. A lot of time, that's what I do. They call me for lectures and they say, we'll pay you. How much do you charge? I said, no, I don't charge anything. I'm totally free. Okay. My time, you must recognize, is wakaf to you. As long as you recognize my time is wakaf for you, I know I'll get my credit in the hereafter. I don't need any credit from you now. Okay. So you wakaf your time with an intention. Okay. So that is what wakaf is. Okay. Now, wakaf is something more unique than sadaqah and zakat combined, which many people don't understand and they keep missing. When I tell them this little secret, believe me, they forget about sadaqah and they start jumping into wakaf. And a lot of people become complete converted to wakaf. This little secret, I tell you. See, sadaqah, when I give 1 ringgit or 1 naira into sadaqah, I get 1 point. It's just like your saving account. I put one naira, I have 1 naira in my account. Tomorrow I put another 1 naira, now I have 2 naira in my account. Right? That 2 naira is not going to grow. The bank will just keep holding for you. Unfortunately, actually, it will go down because of the devaluation. Okay, the value goes down. Okay. Zakat is similar to tax. You pay, you have to pay, is mandatory. You have no choice. You have to pay. But wakaf is totally different. And that's the secret of wakaf. Whatever you put into wakaf is compounding, multiplying. It is the same as your fixed deposit account in your banks. So I put 1 naira into wakaf. That 1 naira keeps compounding every day for years and generations. As long as the asset is being used and is being utilized and exists, you will get the reward for it. Now, do you see historically why our sultans 800,000 years ago, why did Radiallahu Umar created the wakaf? He wanted his earnings to continue after him. Yes. So that water well, that farm, until today is giving him return while he's relaxing in paradise. He's sitting and relaxing, but the money is coming until today. Ajar is coming. We don't care about money. We care about ajar. Ajar is coming. So this is what's the secret of wakaf. So please, many people I ask, and especially our older generation,